what does the future look like for HR professionals? I think we're discovering the future day by day, to a large extent. So as an HR professional, what are some of the meaningful ways that you as an individual, that you can stay engaged, that you can stay motivated, that you can stay rejuvenated, and how does that actually then come into play? If you do all of those things, we want to understand a bit how we can stay motivated. But how has COVID changed the role of the HR professional?
And I think what you're touching on there, I think that it goes a bit deeper than just the what that we do. I think COVID, there's normal trends that we see that are becoming evident over the last couple of years. Things like digitalizations, things like the social enterprise, things like diversity and inclusion. Those things are still going on, but I think COVID has been kind of like an acute accelerator in that space to certain of those things. And as an HR professional, things that we thought, it's still a while away, we can still wait, has actually been brought much closer. One of them, digitalization, and one of them is enabling our workforce to be able to work remotely. And I think a lot of companies scrambled when lockdown hit to how do we empower our leaders to manage people from home? How do we empower our employees to be able to manage work from home? How do we manage performance and keep our culture and all those things that come with it? So I think from a practical perspective, if you break this down, if you think about like kind of the core skills that we're looking at for the future that will help HR professionals, some of the things that are become more evident is one, analytics, using data to kind of drive that awareness. And I think going online, going virtual has actually helped us get access to a lot more concrete data and analytics. The other one is selling or marketing. Like if you as an HR professional don't know how to sell an initiative, get buy-in, market what you're trying to achieve, speak to the language of the people that you're working with, even breaking down your workforce into segments. What are our market segments if you need to do it that way? Like you have to have a clear understanding of how you're driving initiatives. Gone are the days where we design an initiative, roll it out, and it just happens in the business. There's a lot more knowledge out there for people who are not HR professionals. And there's a lot of them who know a lot more than most HR professionals. And it's not just, trust me, I know what I'm talking about. It's actually getting buy-in, lobbying, building relationships. And I think that's some of the key skills. And if you want to go towards data analytics and build a base set, there's a lot of platforms like Udemy, Coursera, Degree, things like that where you can either free or low cost develop these skills that you need and kind of delve into that world. I think before you start thinking of developing any key skills that are like expensive courses, go and play with things like Udemy, go and play with online platforms where you can pay $100 or $50 and get access to these things and see what you enjoy. I think a key thing for us in HR professionals to keep ourselves rejuvenated and energized is delving into the exciting stuff. Thinking about ways we can redo the things that currently are boring to us in a way that makes it exciting for us. EVP is not new. Talent acquisition is not new. Talent management is not new. It's existed for many years. But what keeps HR professionals interested and engaged is what does it look like now? And how do I make it interesting and new? And not just new for new sake, but actually like bringing in things that weren't there before. So I think as an HR professional and as an HR practitioner, there's a lot of capabilities we can develop in ourselves at a very low cost that keeps us energized and engaged in where we're going as for the future. And COVID is not going to be the only event. There's going to be many more events that's going to challenge us as a fraternity. And we need to be able to understand how am I going to navigate this world by developing my own capability.
I think one thing that what I'm hearing, JP, is that you need to be well-rounded. It's almost like if because we are working remotely now, and I don't have that, just quickly walk past HR or HR, walking past me. HR need, as you said, we need to sell ourselves. We need to market ourselves. I think that's a key skill, and that's not something that's part of any IO or HR curriculum.
They don't teach you that at university.
Nor do they teach you data analytics at university. I think it's Dan Pink who wrote the book To Sell is Human. I think very often my experience, psychologists sort of shy away from the commercial side of things. But I think great opportunity to, I want to say, run HR as a business. Okay? You'd be quite fortunate that if you are in a corporate environment, you've got a captured audience. But you almost need to ask yourself the question is, would you buy from yourself? Okay? That's quite a, something that's in your face. Think about your services, think about the way that you engage, think about the skill set that you have and make up. Is it currently of such a nature that you would buy from yourself? Because with access to information, that's what line managers do. Okay, they look at what you are offering and they're like, but hey, why can't you do this? I've seen this on the web. Let me share this article. I want you to do this. Okay. So I think, the makeup of the HR professional should also change to do a lot more research and deep thinking about the type of solution, and then package it with branding and selling skills. So influencing is absolutely critical. Questioning is absolutely critical to design that solution for your client.
One thing I also want to add that I've seen come out, it's existed for a while, but I think it's come out much more now given the digitization of HR and the access to big data as workforce planning. I think in the past, there was a concept of what that is and what it was. And I think given the amount of information and data that we have now, the level of workforce planning that exists out there is amazing.
Yeah.
So I think as an HR professional, I think that is definitely a capability that we need to delve into and kind of get our hands dirty, because like if I think about the workforce planning that I've seen from businesses, the depth of analytics, statistics, and insight that these guys can and ladies can develop from these tools and approaches that they've developed is things that we wouldn't have been able to had we not had the technology and the digitization that we have at the moment.
I think, it's, to me personally, actually very scary because, I was involved in a conversation the other day and they were throwing around these terms and I'm like, I thought I knew what workforce planning is. You have your strategic conversation with your line manager and they tell you about the strategy and the type of roles that they will require. So we're going to increase headcount by 2. I've done my workforce plan for the year. But then you get platforms like Fathom and you get AI and you need to bring in actuaries who does modeling. That's the opportunity now. Okay, but it is still so new and I think foreign to many of us that we tend to gravitate to what we know. And I think as you rightfully said, so firstly is sell, okay, market, brand, read up on that. Tom Peters, read me, okay. Brand yourself, be clear of your personal presence. Ask yourself the question, would you buy from yourself? Data analytics, I was fortunate 2 odd weeks ago, attended a talk by the global head of data analytics for Nokia. And I specifically asked them the question, because I was chairing the day, I said, look, if you want to start somewhere, where do you start? I said, just visualize. Just put it in a graph, or something like that, but then also interpret. I've seen many HR reports, a lot of good graphs, but then line manager or exco, they left to interpret and try and make sense of these things. I think great opportunity for us to not only have the graph there, but actually what does it mean? Integrate the data, make the connections for them, and then as you say, this whole workforce planning, workforce automation, what is the impact of technology on roles in the next 5 odd years? Platforms like Fathom have got the algorithms in there to tell you how will a certain job in a certain industry potentially look in 5 years' time, because that is the information we need to sort of upskill ourselves.
And I think what you're touching on is with all of that automation, with all of that workforce planning, with all of that analytics that we bring in, there's also the softer side of that we need to start thinking of. And like, how do we ensure that our employees feel safe at the workplace? How do we ensure that, from an EVP to a workforce planning to an analytics, that they feel that they are safe in the environment, that they can contribute and be themselves and not feel like they're left out or scrutinized. And a term that's sometimes used for this is psychological safety. And what it basically comes down to is how do I create an environment that allows me to be myself to my optimal level and contribute through creativity and thinking the best way I can. And us as human capital professionals, how do we create and facilitate that environment and allow us to